Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. This is the Money Down Pod, episode number 14. Looking ahead at this week's NFL games, I am Kayvon and Shawn. That is Shawn White. Follow us on Twitter at Money Down Pod. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in, for liking the show, giving us a nice subscribe, and checking out anything that we do here on the Money Down Pod. We really appreciate it. Shawn, how are you doing today?
Doing great. Ready to get these NFL previews right here. I'm excited for the week. I know you're going to the Falcons game tomorrow night. We are doing this on a Wednesday, so Kayvon can travel down there to Atlanta for the game.
Yep.
So we're a little early on these lines and a little early on the news. So if we miss some news later on in the week, just keep that in mind. We're recording a little early. But hey, I know Kayvon's excited to see this game tomorrow night. We're going to talk about that one for sure.
Yeah, I'm really excited about it, man. And there's some pretty big games this week that we're just going to get right into it. But since I am going to the game, we'll just start off with this. I mean, look, it's big time. It is for us Falcons fans, it's a big time game. Look, the Patriots are about as hot of a team that you can get in the NFL right now. Everybody knows what happens when everyone thinks about the Super Bowl when you talk about Patriots Falcons, right? Everyone. So that the NFL put this on Thursday night because everyone thinks about that. The Patriots are rolling. Mac Jones looks great. And the Falcons were rolling until they just got their butt whooped by Dallas in Dallas. So it's going to be fascinating. I'll tell you this right now, bro. I'm going all out. I'm getting my face painted. Red on one side, black on the other. Going to wear my Kyle Pitts jersey. I got this Falcons headband, like a Rafa Nadal type Nike headband. I'm going to have that baby wrapped around. I'm going to look like a maniac out there. And I said it on the Monday show. If we start to get embarrassed, I am streaking on the field. I am going to get arrested over watching that disaster of a game. So, Falcons, players, if you're listening, which I know some of you guys listen, the Falcons support us, man. They might not admit it yet because the show's not big enough. But as we get bigger, there's some players out there. I know you guys. They show up. All right, just show up for your boy. That's all I'm asking for. I don't ask for a lot. All right, I'm a very simple guy. Just show up for me in the stands. I'll be there cheering you guys on. Let's see what happens, Shawn. All right, I hope you're cheering us on I know you will be, but cheering us on from Maine. All right.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Even though I live up here where the evil empire reigns supreme, I don't know if I can cheer for him on Thursday. I gotta support my co-host over here, my guy, my boy. I gotta support him out there. We don't want to see him in jail. We really don't. But if he is, we're definitely going to tweet those pictures out. We've got to get the before and after with the face paint all going, and then after
I'll send it over.
Yeah, then after he starts getting about 8 beers deep, if the game starts going bad, we got to see what the face paint is looking like then.
Yeah.
After it's tackled to the ground and dragged across the turf, just stuff like that. We got to get those pictures tweeted out. Now, I mean, this is something, since you'll be at the game, you won't hear it. But obviously, if you're following along at home like me, over under 4.5 times we mentioned 28-3 on the broadcast.
Oh,
I've got to go over.
Oh, that's the over has to be juiced to like minus 190. It's got to be because they're going to talk about that non-stop. Like, oh my God, that's why they put it on a Thursday night game. It's the only reason why it's an appeal for the Falcons versus the Patriots. I'm just glad it's out.
I'm sure Troy and Joe Buck and all them, they'll probably keep that in their pocket just in case it starts to become a bad game, a blowout. They'll just bring it up 4 or 5 times in the second half if that's the case. But I do like the Falcons to hang tough. Just getting back to breaking down the game for a minute here, I think they'll hang tough. I know they have to get tired of hearing the same thing we hear all the time, which is that 28-3 thing. So they're going to wake up, even though it's a different coaching staff. They're going to wake up for a game. It's time to wake up for this one and show it's a new generation of player and coach there that's going to not have that happen to them in the future and come out and really put it to the Patriots, because this is a big game for the Falcons with that NFC wildcard hunt, because we're looking at the schedule. We're going to talk about 2 more of these games. But, I mean, you got the Vikings against the Panthers. That's a big wild card stand for the Vikings. They're going to have to go in and play real well at home. I mean, you got the Saints and the Eagles, 2 teams fighting for that wild card. One of them's going to lose and drop down. One's going to win. And then obviously Panthers and the football team, they're going to do the same thing. So this is a big-time game for the Falcons to come out and have some confidence, gain some momentum, and make this wild card push.
No, you're spot on, man. It's huge. And like I said on Monday, and if you haven't listened to the Monday show, go check it out. We recapped everything from what happened over the week. It's still very fresh news. We are going to learn everything about this Falcons team, about Arthur Smith as a coach. We're going to learn everything about them this game because, like I said, I guarantee you, majority of those players have never lost that bad in their lives. I guarantee it. Seriously, like you don't lose that bad when you're an NFL player. They probably always won in high school, probably, most of the time won in college, unless they went to like Kansas or some other schools like that. They probably have never lost like they had to the Cowboys other than once or two times. How do they come back from that? How do they come back as a coach, as a team, as an organization against a very good Patriots team? Do they come out hot? Do they show, some toughness? And do they hang in throughout the whole game? That's what I'm eager to see. And it's all going to come down to, can we protect Matt Ryan? Matt Ryan is a completely different quarterback when he has time. In that New Orleans game, bro, he had a clean pocket. He didn't get sacked one time, and he was throwing dimes all night long. In that Cowboys game, he didn't have a damn second to blink in that game. And it was a disaster. It was an absolute disaster the entire time. And that's the big issue there. If they come out and not protect, and then the Patriots can get to the quarterback, we know that. If they cannot protect Matt Ryan, it's going to be a rough game. Fans at home, watch for that right off the bat. How quickly is this Pats D line getting to Matt Ryan? That's going to be the difference in the game.
Yeah, and I think obviously with Belichick too, you can almost fully expect fantasy-wise, watching the game-wise, Kyle Pitts is going to be taken out in some way, shape, or form of the game plan because that's what Belichick does better than anyone. He finds your biggest strength and he takes that away. I mean, you saw it with the Browns last week. They ran the ball down their throat that first drive. After that, Dearness Johnson couldn't get anything going afterwards. So you know that Bill's been watching film, and he's probably got Kyle Pitts circled. Hey, we can't have this guy go off and have a huge, massive game against us this week. So I just have a feeling that we're going to have – it's going to be a tough day for the rookie tight end. So Matt Ryan's going to have to spread it around to these other smaller name receivers with Ridley out. I think he can do it. I think the O-line is going to have to protect. Like you said, though, and the Patriots are going to get heat, but I feel like he's going to have to make some big-time NFL big boy throws like Matt Ryan can, and it's going to be a tight one in my opinion. Like I said, I don't think you can get your pride hurt like you said that last week and not come back and play a lot better. And I think they're probably all, even if you weren't on that team, you got to be sick of hearing about this whole Patriots comeback thing. Brady ain't even there no more. It's like these are two different teams. Maybe we can stop all that talk and shut them up on Thursday night.
Agreed, man. Agreed. No doubt about it. We can move on from here, but I completely agree. One thing that I do like in this game, I like the under. I think you're right. I think it's going to be a tight game. I don't think there's a lot of scoring. I really think it's going to be a 24-21 type game. I mean, that's what I'm hoping at least, because I think that the closer it is, I think that gives us a chance to win this game. I don't see a lot of fireworks happening in this game. I think it's a very tight team. I think the Patriots just blew out the Browns. I think they come back to earth a little bit offensively, and the Falcons just only scored 3 points. I think that they're able to do a little bit offensively, but with that Pats defense, not enough. So that's what I'd be looking for if you're looking at a betting man. I like the 48, and I actually started out at 49. I think it's already dropped to 47, so clearly some sharps are on that as well. Shawn,
I kind of like some 21-17, like either way game. That's kind of where I feel it's going to be.
Completely agree. That's exactly what I'm looking at too. That's what I think it's going to be around there. Honestly, whoever gets to 21 might win the game. Like that. That's kind of what I'm looking at as well. So let's get into some of these other games that are really big this week, man. One in particular, I think this is probably going to be this will be the most watched game because of the Chiefs and the allure that they have with Patrick Mahomes, and then because obviously the Cowboys. And we all know how much everyone loves the Cowboys and the team that this Cowboys team is and how good they've looked. Cowboys Chiefs, Shawn, what are your first thoughts on that game?
First thoughts is it's going to be a real tell sign about where both of these teams are.
Yeah.
We're used to each year the Cowboys, if they're not 8-8, what they do is they beat up on lower teams and they play a weaker schedule and they lose a lot to those top teams in the league. And that's usually how it goes. That's just how it's been about the last 20 years of their franchise. All the Cowboy fans kind of got to agree with that. That's how it goes. As for the Chiefs, are they back? We're going to figure it out this week. So that's the two questions we're looking at here when they play each other. Can the Cowboys beat what we look at as an above average, really good, maybe Super Bowl contending team with Patrick Mahomes being back? And is Patrick Mahomes back right here? Is the Chiefs back in a good position to make a push and win a Super Bowl? I think that's what we're going to see when these two play each other. I think it's going to be a tight game, and it's going to be fireworks going off everywhere in this game.
I agree. I think it's going to be a really fun game, man. I think it's going to be a tough test on both sides of the ball, which is always a good storyline game, right? You know, usually you have these games where it's like the Chiefs are red hot. This is a tough test for this team coming in to play them. But just like you just said perfectly, this is a tough test for both teams. Everyone's waiting. Are the Cowboys going to be a disaster at some point? It always happens. Are they going to eventually hit a wall? They thought maybe that happened against the Broncos game. They fall back. Now people are saying, okay, maybe this is a different team. Well, now you're going up against a Chiefs team that everyone's saying, are they back? Is this the real Chiefs team? Or was that just a defense, like you pointed out on the Monday show, that Patrick Mahomes is so good at just dissecting all night long? This is a really good Cowboys defense. It's been showing all season that it can play D. And this Chiefs defense, Steve Spagnuolo, they just get better every single week under him. It happens every season. They're starting to turn the corner. They're starting to be a good defense as well. Do both of these offense break through these defenses? I am so intrigued in the storyline of this game, bro.
Yeah, I think honestly, one thing under the radar is how well Frank Clark is playing too. He's kind of back to his old pass rushing self, at least getting pressures, which is what they needed. If they can have him and Chris Jones pushing up front, the defense is good on the back end a lot of times. Just when they don't get any heat, they start blowing these coverages left and right.
Yeah.
If you can get that heat on them, then those coverages get shored up real quick. And I feel like it's going to be a shootout, and here's why. I think they're going to make Dallas throw with them. It's going to be kind of how that Buccaneers game was week 1 for Dallas. I think they're going to try to hit Amari and CeeDee Lamb and just outscore the Chiefs and kind of show, hey, we're an elite offense too.
I can see that.
And even though Dan Quinn has done the most changing of the defense, he is still a Pete Carroll disciple. He's going to still throw some cover 3 out there. And that's what Mahomes eats alive, man coverage and cover 3. And don't sit there and don't think that Trayvon Diggs can't be had by Tyreek Hill 2 or 3 times this game. Because he'll definitely jump a route or two. And I know Andy Reid's probably been watching that film, and he's ready to go. Even if he isn't lined up over Tyreek, Hardman and Pringle, they're all track stars out there. They will double move him a few times. I'm really curious to see how the Cowboys defense decides to try to control Kelsey. And that's, I think, is the key of the game. Are they going to try to one-on-one him with Micah Parsons, or do they want Micah Parsons to pass rush? Because he's been pass rushing crazy this year. Are they going to put Trayvon Diggs inside on a Kelsey where you don't have to worry about the double move as much, just play the ball skills? So I'm just trying to see what the kind of chess pieces that Dan Quinn can come up with to try to slow down that Chiefs offense that found some momentum. And I just on the other side of the ball, I just feel like the Cowboys are going to try to throw their way to victory, which is a good plan with the receivers they have, but they don't need to get too far away from that Zeke Elliott, Tony Pollard game either.
Yeah, look, that's a really good point there with watching how they defend Travis Kelce, because Kelce hasn't really had a great season. And he just showed on this past Sunday to Sunday night game, he was saying just kind of like the Cam, I'm back. We're feeling it. He was happy. He was dancing again. Other than that, he really has, he's still really good for a tight end. He's the best tight end in the league, but not for what we're used to Kelce seeing. But these last couple games, Kelce's been getting going. How are they going to stop him? Because the Raiders didn't stop him, and that's what ended up happening. Are they going to put Micah Parsons on him? And I'm also really interested in Tyreek Hill, bro. I think Tyreek Hill's going to burn Diggs. I don't think Diggs has any chance at stopping him. I think he gets at least one really good long touchdown, possibly 2. I just don't see it happening, which leads to your point about it being a high-scoring game. I think the Chiefs end up winning this game, bro. Now, I'm not confident. That's not a lock of mine, but just like for a pick on the show, since we're talking about this game, I wouldn't bet on it. It's too close. But I do think that this is a 34-31 type game where the Chiefs end up edging it out on a Harrison Butker field goal at the end. That's kind of how I'm seeing this game go.
Yeah, this is actually probably one of the first times where a Mike McCarthy clock management issue might could come into play and maybe lose the game, because he's been having all sorts of clock management issues, but it hasn't really affected the outcome of the game. It's been in the first half, or it's been in winning time, or they've just won the game at the end against a worser team than them. This could be one of those situations where you might leave Mahomes too much time for him to come back down and get that game-winning field goal kick, that game-winning touchdown on you. So I would just watch that a little bit. Mike McCarthy has a history of these clock management things that are a little strange. This could come into play here this weekend, and it wouldn't be shocked if it isn't how they lose the game if they do lose it.
Boy, would that have everyone just talking like no other.
Give me Kellen Moore.
That would just be, that would be funny to see that happen. They would have, that's all people would be talking about on the next day if Mike McCarthy is the reason why they end up losing that game. And I think you're spot on. That hasn't been a problem yet in close games. It almost was in that Patriots game. It ended up not working out. This could be something to watch moving forward. That's a really good point by you, Shawn. That's definitely the best game on the board this week, but there are some other good ones, including a game happening in Carolina where you just were and where I'm at right now. We have a bunch of people that are loving this Carolina Panthers team. Cam Newton had his whole moment. I'm back. We talked about that on Monday. But the best dynamic of this game is Ron Rivera. I mean, it's really poetry at its finest. They bring Cam Newton back right in time for him to face his former coach that they were together from 2010 to 2020. Like that is just perfect timing. The NFL gods were with us on that. And now it looks like the Panthers are going to start Cam Newton against his former coach. And that's a headline that is so juicy and so fun to look out for.
Oh yeah, it's going to be fun to watch too. It's a little shame that Young and Sweat are both out for the football team. I think that affects them a little bit. I do think they're going to still be stout against that run though. So Cam is going to still have to make some throws, in my opinion. And I want to see him throw into some tight windows and play the whole game because, I mean, the 2 plays he was in, obviously electric. I know that fired up a bunch of those Panther fans. But, I mean, the whole game is something different. And when you can game plan for the whole time, it's going to be something else to see. As for the football team themselves, both of these teams are fighting for these NFC wild cards. So this is almost a must-win for both of them because the loss is going to put you down further, and they're going to have the tiebreak against you whenever you go play that head-to-head. But, I mean, the football team did something that I've been screaming as an Antonio Gibson fantasy manager for all this time. They finally started giving him the ball, and maybe he looks a little more healthy off the shin injury. But they need to start feeding him the ball more and throwing some screens to him, using him more like a McCaffrey, like they did in Carolina. Because if they do that, then I feel like they have a chance to move the ball on this really good Panthers defense who's playing with a lot more energy. But I don't want to take your point because you have a really good point about Cam. I just know he's going to have to play that well. But I don't know if everyone, including yourself, feels like he should be starting this game.
I don't think he should. I don't think he should at all. I think it would be stupid, and I think they're going to do it. I think that it would just make total sense to wait and start him next week. First of all, PJ Walker, he went 22 for 29 against a really good, that Arizona defense, bro, they've been good. I mean, they have not been a bad defense. He went 22 for 29, didn't have to throw much. It was only 167 yards, but he still played pretty well. He did the job. The Washington football team and Ron Rivera knows how to play against Cam. If there's one person in the NFL that knows how to play against Cam, it's Ron Rivera. He knows it like it's his, like he does it in his sleep. I mean, he coached the guy for 10 plus years. So I just think it makes no sense for them to start him this week. I think it would be so smart to start PJ Walker, bring in Cam just like they did on certain little situations. But I think if they start Cam from the start to finish, that to me favors Washington. I will bet Washington if that happens, because just like you said, he's not going to allow Cam to run that ball. He will do every single thing he can to make sure Cam and McCaffrey do not run the ball. He will make Cam beat him with their arms, and that will be so fascinating because we will learn right away what type of thrower Cam is now that he's back playing in the NFL. Is he still the same old Cam? Has that accuracy gotten better? Ron Rivera will make that happen if they start Cam this week, which I think they will.
Yeah, I think what the Panther fans would probably push back a little bit on, and would be my one critique is PJ Walker's a little bit inconsistent.
Yeah,
so
no
I can
doubt.
understand where they're coming from. Where it's like, hey, I don't know if I want PJ Walker out there playing.
And that's
He
fair.
had one good game. He's due a bad one next week. And with all the film that they have on him now from the time he's been in, he's just an inconsistent thrower. But Cam is also an inconsistent thrower. If you want to be honest, it's just Cam has more of the traits, and he's been around longer to see these defenses. Maybe he can get people lined up a little better. Maybe that's one of their concerns. So starting him does kind of – if you're on the Washington football team with Cam, you should be on him with PJ, in my opinion. I think you should just be on the team at that point if you're on him either way.
Yeah.
It's going to be an interesting game, though, because I know for a fact, I know several people that are going to that game. That house is going to be rocking. They're going to give Rivera's props in the beginning, and then it's going to be all about, hey, let's keep pounding, like they like to say in Charlotte, and keep going at them. I do think it's going to be a slugfest of a game. I think Washington's going to try to run the ball the whole time because you can't have Heineke throwing it out there around. The fighting Heinekes don't need to be slinging the ball too much. And I think Cam's going to probably try to pound it too. I think it's going to be a low-scoring game. I'm not sure what the over-under is right now, but I definitely look at the under unless
43.
Vegas – 43. Ooh, Vegas right on the money again. That's close.
Yeah.
So, like I said, I don't know if I bet that over-under just because that's so close. Vegas is good at hitting numbers sometimes like that. It's just – but I think it's going to be a low-scoring affair. Defense is slugfest, and it's going to be interesting to see which quarterback can be the more consistent thrower and which team can establish a run game, because that's what it's going to come down to between these two.
Yeah, it's tied with the Saints game as the lowest over/under on the day. That's that, and the Saints game are both at 43, which is the lowest on the game. So they're telling you, just like you said, that they believe this is going to be a low-scoring game as well. Look, it just aligns perfectly. It's two teams that feel like they have their mojo back. I mean, the Washington football team just beat the Super Bowl champs and Tom Brady, and they did it at home, and they finally, all year long, were the team that all these people bet on to win the NFC East. That they finally showed why a lot of people liked them, because Gibson ran the ball, because they played great defense, because they got 2 picks off Tom Brady. They're going to want to keep that rolling. And then we all know that the mojo the Panthers got back against the Cardinals. They're going to keep that rolling. Someone's going to have to give. It's going to be a fascinating game. Speaking of that Saints-Eagles game, which is another NFC wildcard game, you've got one team in the Saints that have lost 2 in a row since Jameis has been out, and another team in the Eagles that have really been surging over the last 3 games since Nick Sirianni decided, let's run the damn ball. I mean, it was that simple. He said, let's run the damn ball for once, and it has opened things up for Jalen Hurts, and since then, they smashed the Lions. They lost last-second field goal to the Chargers, and then they smashed the Broncos. And this is a game where we're seeing 2 teams going separate ways. It's a must-win to me for the Saints. If the Saints lose 3 in a row and drop to 5-5, they could still – Sean Payton's such a good coach. They could still turn it around and still make the playoff because of how weak everything else is. But to lose 3 in a row after that big-time win against the Bucs, that's not the direction you want to go to. I think that this is a huge game for both sides of the ball, but especially for the New Orleans Saints.
Yeah, I do too. And honestly, I immediately picked the Falcons to beat the Saints after that. I'm just not a Trevor Siemian believer.
Yeah.
I think him coming in against the Buccaneers, that's more of a Sean Payton just has that game plan against a Todd Bowles defense. They love playing the Buccaneers, the Saints do. Yeah. And I think that was more of that. I don't think Trevor Siemian's good enough to win games that he needs to win, honestly. I just can't back them like that.
I agree.
But it is a must win for them because they're going to need to beat a more struggling team that is on the rise. They're going to need to beat that team that's trying to get into the wild card spot as well if they're going to want to stay in the wild card hunt. I think it's just going to be too tall of a task for them. They played the Titans so close last week without Kamara. And I mean, the Titans, they get a little lucky with how they win games sometimes.
Yeah.
It's kind of funny to see.
It's incredible.
And the Saints probably had a chance to do it. I mean, God, they held them twice at the goal line and 2 penalties gave them first downs on a touchdown the Titans scored. They're going to have to play lights out every week, and I just don't think the Saints can do that unless it's a really below-average team with Trevor Siemian at quarterback. So I'm kind of on the Eagles in that game just because – I mean, if once they started running the ball, Jalen Hurts has decided to, hey, I'm going to run it like I did at Oklahoma. If nothing's there, I'm going to run it, and it's almost freed up Devontae Smith a little bit one-on-one outside. He's been getting more vertical with it since that happened. I just kind of like the Eagles' momentum on this one, and I hate the way the Saints are trending down. I can't buy Simeon until I see him win a game or two that isn't in relief. So that's kind of where I'm at on that. All respect to Sean Payton, but I just can't see them winning this game this week.
I agree. I think that I called it. You said it. You said that this. Couldn't pick the Falcons because obviously, but I was like, I think we have a great chance because of Trevor Siemian. You picked us to win it, and a lot of sharps were on the Saints last week against the Titans. A lot of them, and the Saints ended up covering. It was +3. They covered, but I couldn't make that bet because even though it was a terrible spot for the Titans have just won every game. They just beat the high-flying Rams. They shut them down. Every smart bettor knows that's a spot you bet against the Titans there. I just couldn't do it because of Trevor Siemian. I just couldn't. It worked out. They didn't win, though, but Trevor Siemian, I would start Taysom Hill, and I am not a Taysom Hill believer. Let me just be real quick. He is not a quarterback. Like, let's make that clear right now. Taysom Hill is not an NFL quarterback. He's a gadget player. He can do some things, but that's how low I think of Trevor Siemian. I just don't think they have a shot to win with him. So I'm on the Eagles as this as well, but I think that this is a huge game. If the Eagles can win this game and go to 5-6 and the Saints go to 5-5, I mean, that is a massive swing in what we're seeing when 3 weeks ago we thought, okay, every spot but that final wild card in the AFC is locked up because of the Saints and the Rams. Now look at the Rams. Well, they're still going to make it, but now look at the Saints. There's a lot of questions happening there now, and that's going to be another fascinating game to watch there. Anything you want to add before we move on?
Yeah, I was going to say, I believe they should be starting Taysom Hill too, but I really don't believe Taysom Hill is going to start another game at quarterback ever because I think he's about one concussion away from being done just in general. And I think Sean Payton just likes to use him as a gadget too much to even put him at risk for that in the future when they do have a quarterback, whether it be Jameis or somebody else that they have next year. I just don't know if he's going to put him back there because he's scared to run him because that's the whole appeal of Taysom Hill. He isn't going to dice you up from the pocket. He's got to run. So I don't see Peyton putting him out there to get another concussion when he can still use him as the gadget guy in years to come and put him at less risk. So on that, I agree with you. Taysom Hill probably is the better quarterback, even though he's not that good of a quarterback. But I just don't think Peyton will put him at risk at this point of the season the way it's going.
Yeah, that's a good point. He has had a ton of concussions. There's no doubt about that. And that's always something scary to think about there. Shawn, let's move along here, man. We're just breezing through these games. Some really great analysis coming through. I want to talk about the Cardinals Seahawks. Look, we touched on this for most of the time on Monday. We gave our thoughts about the Seahawks. We said, listen, this is, and Shawn's going to get into how big of a game this is for the Seahawks, but we talked about how the Seahawks, they're one disaster season away, which could be this, from Russell Wilson leaving. Like, you don't make a claim and have your agent go out there and pick 4 teams specifically unless there's something to that. And I know they want to say, oh, lovey-dovey, everything's good. No, everything's not good. And like you said, someone's going to be gone if this season continues the way, whether it's Pete Carroll or Russell Wilson. This is a must-win game for the Seahawks, and you're going to tell us why you think that is.
Yeah, this is a must-win because, number one, the records where they're at, they ain't catching up if they lose another one this soon. They might can drop one toward the back end, but you got to get some momentum going beforehand for that to happen. The other thing is Russell's got to get back on track and get some rhythm going this week, and I believe he does that. I think the Seahawks are going to win this game. I mainly think it's because Russell doesn't like to lose like that. Russell Wilson's a proven winner. He's a proven guy that's going to go get it done out there. And I think that's what he'll do this week. He's going to get him back on track to try to make this wild card push. I don't think he's just going to go out like that last week and not score and not give his team a chance. The other thing is the Cardinals are getting their reinforcement back on injuries. But if you heard Kyler Murray speak, he said he's close. He's close to being back to playing. That doesn't mean close to being 100%. That means back to being in the lineup. So I do think he's going to take probably a game to get back, a game or two maybe, to get back to that MVP, more Kyler Murray style. So I think this is a perfect time for the Seahawks to win a game and get some momentum going forward. That's going to be one of my picks this week because I like them a lot. I think it's a must-win for the Seahawks. I think they're going to show up and play.
Yeah, that's a really good point about Kyler Murray there, man. The question becomes, if he's almost back, do they wait? I mean, look, they're losing their lead, but with what's happening with the Rams, they have the head-to-head over the Rams. They're still 8-2. The question becomes, do they really want that 1 seed? And since, I think in previous years, where if there was still 2 buys, I think they sit Kyler in this game. I think they look at it and they say they're 8-2, most likely, unless they just have a disastrous second half of the season, they're going to get one of the buys. But now, since there's only 1 buy and 1 seed, I think that changes their mind a little bit, where they say, you know what, let's get him out here a little bit sooner, because an ankle injury is something that you worry about, right? It's something that can come back up. Maybe it can't get any worse, but it can stay lingering around. And I think he's going to play. I do. But that's just something that I think is fascinating with the 7 playoff teams and the 15-game schedule. Maybe in previous years, they don't really push it. But now with there's being only 1 bye, they're 8-2. They want to get that bye. I think they try and throw him out there. But I just don't think he'll be able to be 100%. And because of that, and because of the desperation that's on the Seahawks, I mean, it's desperation time. It is win, like you said, or you are done. I don't care how bad the bottom of the NFC is. You're not going 3-7 and making the playoffs, because you would have to win every single game out from here on, pretty much. I mean, you could make it with 8 losses. You could lose another one, but the momentum, like you said, would just be destroying you. Things would start to heat up. It's a must-win game, but it's going to be a tough one. It's not going to be some easy game. But this is where I want to see exactly what you said. Russell has done this his entire life. He has put the Seahawks on his back in games that need to win. This is one of those. Show us that you can do it once again, Russ. DK's getting upset. He's getting kicked out of games. Lockett hasn't done squat since you got hurt. They have no run game right now under Alex Collins until Chris Carson comes back. This is all on Russell Wilson's shoulder. You got to go out there and show it.
Yeah, I feel that for sure. And one sneaky thing about that Kyler Murray thing that I didn't get to mention, they tried to claim Bouchel off of the Chiefs practice squad this week. Did you see that?
No, I didn't.
No, they tried to claim him off their practice squad. The Chiefs signed him to the active to make sure they didn't. So that tells me that Colt McCoy and Kyler are not all the way there this week. So not even Kyler, but Colt McCoy is also a little bit banged up. So I do kind of like the Seahawks right here. I think Kyler might try to push it, mainly because of what you were talking about with the 1 bye, but also their main competition. They can withstand the Cowboys because they play them later in the year. You can just go, okay, we're going to win this one. But the Packers, they've already lost to. So that's the key one. So that's why I think Kyler might play this week, is because the Packers are the threat to keep winning and get that 1 seed from them. So that's kind of the issue I have there. I buy the Seahawks putting it all on the line against a little banged up Cardinals team. Give them another week to get healthy. That's kind of where I'm at on that. That's going to be one of my picks for this week, a 3rd and short. I like them plus 2.5. That's where the line is right now as of Wednesday. So if you can get it better, if it starts getting bet the other way, then by all means. But I definitely wouldn't lean to that Cardinal side for sure.
It's not going to get better. I can tell you for whatever it's worth. And listen, when I say this, it doesn't mean that it's a must. It's like that they're for sure going to win, but the Sharps are on your side. The Sharps are all over Seattle. They took Seattle. I think it started out at -1. I think they bet it all the way up to -2.5, and I think it keeps going. But so again, when we talk about the Sharps, like we're just saying that's the professional bettors. Most of the time they're right, but they have been wrong many times. This is the NFL. Like, they can get it wrong. So whenever I say that, sometimes I feel like people are like, oh, just because the Sharps are on it, go bet it. I'm with you. I like Seattle, but whatever it's worth, the Sharps are on that too as well. So that's
they
definitely
lay the heavy money that I don't have.
Yeah. They lay the thousands that neither of us have, but would one day be so fun to be. I mean, being a professional gambler, bro, would be
stressful.
It'd be the life. It would be stressful to do that for sure. It'd be the life. I would never be able to do it though, because I just don't have the money management skills. Like, if I was a professional bettor and I had all that money, I would bet. If I lost a game, like, I would be like, I got to get that back right now. And I would just want to go bet something else. And like, I hear all these stories about like, they call that like chasing. That is like the worst thing you could do. And I would end up doing that.
Yeah, that's like me. Like, I didn't like like, for example, I won like 2 weeks in a row NFL, and then I give these picks like with single ones. But what I do is, if I don't like the payout for these single bets where you have to put it'll be like to win, you put 20 to win like 18 or something like that, stuff like that. When I don't like the payout for that, I'll just throw it into like a parlay, and I'm basically throwing my money away anyway. But it's just fun to do. So it's like, oh yeah, $20. Here's a parlay to win like 400, and you're not going to win it no matter what. But
I do it too. I do the same thing. And parlays are like the stupidest thing ever, but it's so intriguing because of the payout. Awesome. Yeah, no, I'm with you, man. This is all on Russell Wilson. Like, put the Pete Carroll crap aside. I don't care that he's going to want to try and establish possession and run the ball. Just go win the damn game. Just win the damn game, Russell Wilson. You can do it. We know you can do it. Speaking of the Green Bay Packers and them beating the Cardinals and why they're going to put Kyler out there, this is a very interesting game, I find, this week with Green Bay and the Vikings, and this is why. This is a huge game for the Vikings. They're playing good football right now. They need to stay alive in the wild card, just like all these other teams we're talking about. While the Packers really couldn't be more of a high right now. They beat this Seahawks team. They didn't allow a single point. Everyone's raving about how they can win without Rodgers. Rodgers has come out and said he still doesn't have great air coming because of COVID. He still was feeling like little like out of breath. He's a little banged up. I think that this is the perfect spot for the Vikings to possibly catch the Packers on a little bit of a lull. I'm going to go ahead and tell you this. The Vikings are my third and short this week. I'm taking them at +2, +2.5 at home against the Packers. The Vikings' home field advantage is one of the best, if not the best, in the entire league. And I have a sneaky feeling that the Vikings are going to pull this game out. I really do.
Yep. I can see it happening, but I'm actually on the Packers side. I was thinking about it hard. When you brought it up at first, I was like, that makes sense. The reason why I'm on the Packers side is because of what we talked about on the recap show from last week. That defense is playing lights out right now.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I can trust Kirk Cousins to make plays against this Packers defense. That's my one issue there. They definitely have a good offense. And, I mean, Rodgers, you never know, coming off of COVID like that, he could still be a little shaky, a little rusty. I mean, it might take him another game or two to get back in the rhythm of where he was before he missed the game. But that Packers defense is lights out right now.
Very good.
And I just don't see Dalvin Cook running all over them. I mean, Justin Jefferson gets open on anybody, but I feel like they're going to have a game plan for him. And Thielen's been in their nightmares for years. But like I said, they know how to cover him too if they really want to get down to it. I like the bet just because I kind of can feel where you're coming from on that. And it could be a close game, go either way. But I kind of do like the Packers on that side. I don't know if I like the points. I would stay away points-wise and all that. But you're on the right side for value, and you're on the right side for Vegas. I just don't know if they can withstand that Packers defense.
Yeah, and it's going to be a tough game. There's no doubt about that. I mean, it's not one of the best bets I've had all season or anything like that. I just think that this is the time that they could possibly catch the Packers at home. They're playing good football. That Vikings defense is starting to play a little bit better. It's going to be tough, though. You're right. I think it's a low-scoring game. I think it's a slugged-out game. I don't see a lot of points happening either way, but I do think the Vikings end up slipping by. I would not be shocked if I'm sitting here on Monday, though, saying that I got that wrong. Just going to go with what I'm kind of feeling in the way I look at games. We'll see what happens from there for sure. But it's a Huge game for the Vikings in terms of the wild card. And the Packers, they're sitting pretty, but like we said, those teams at the top, one top seed gets a bye. They want to keep winning at every chance they can get.
Yeah, for sure. And I do think this is a game. Actually, the first game this week is one of the ones where they will miss Aaron Jones a lot, especially in the pass game and the run game.
Yeah.
Because we did talk about A.J. Dillon being a really good back and everything, but that front seven for the Vikings is something to be reckoned with. And Eric Kendricks is actually playing one of the best. He's one of the best inside linebackers in the league right now. So that matchup of just having two sledgehammers hit each other in the hole constantly over the game. This isn't a great A.J. Dillon game, but obviously he's going to get the volume. So in fantasy, you would have to play him. But this isn't a great matchup for the outcome of the game either. So they definitely are going to miss Aaron Jones this week, and I do feel that for sure.
Yeah, and that's going to be really interesting to watch because it will be their first game without Aaron Jones. All eyes on A.J. Dillon. A lot of fantasy managers are going to be hoping he does well. That's going to be a really good point and something fascinating to watch. Anything you else want to talk about before we get into our third and picks here?
No, I think we're all good. I think we're good to go.
Awesome, man. We'll start us off. We already gave a couple hints of what we're taking here, but start us off with your third and short.
Yes, I had Seahawks plus 2.5, like we talked about. That's the number I had. That might change. It might go down to a pick 'em at some point. I mean, you got to get on that one early if you want to get any of the points the Seahawks way. The other one I have is Ravens -5 against the Bears.
Love that.
I think the Ravens are going to bounce back after that humiliating loss, and I don't think the Bears are a good enough team to really stop them, if I'm being honest with you. Justin Fields is up and down. He's improving for sure. That Ravens defense is going to give him a lot of different blitz looks, a lot of pressures he's going to have to account for. He does have the mobility, but I think it's just a tougher defense for a young quarterback to face, and I think Lamar and that Ravens offense bounces back in a big way against the Bears defense. Is kind of banged up, to be honest.
Yeah, I love that pick a lot. They just came off a terrible loss against Miami. They got to keep it going. They've got to get back into the win column. That's a really good pick by you. I like that a lot. For my third and short, I told you guys I'm taking Minnesota plus 2.5. I personally think that's going to go down. I really do. It might go to 3, so I might be wrong on that. But I think that I think it might actually go down to 2. Again, I could be wrong. You might want to wait. I don't think it goes any more than 2. So it's either going to go up to 3 or go down to 2. You could wait and see what happens there. But I got Minnesota. I got a plus 2.5. I know some places it's already down to plus 2. And then for another one that I just talked about earlier in the show, and this is a total, and this is a game that's tomorrow night, I'm taking the under on the Falcons-New England game. I think it's a low-scoring game. Like Shawn said, 21-17. I think that's about exactly what we're going to see. The Falcons are going to be so heated after what just happened with them allowing 43 points. They're going to tighten up on defense. The Patriots always play good defense. Give me under 48 as another third and short for my pick this week.
Yeah, so I'm going to tweet out a bunch of other third and longs when the props come out, because in the NFL, I tend to lean props on third and longs because the big time spreads are just kind of like once you get plus 10 or 11, like, do you really want to bet a Titans Texans game? Like, that's just a scary game to bet.
Yeah.
So I'll tweet out the props. What I like tomorrow though is pay attention to whoever the starting running back is. I'm not sure if they've ruled Damian Harris out, but if it's not him, it's Ramondre Stevenson. Either one of them, if you want to bet an anytime touchdown score, or if the Patriots could get the ball first and you feel them for a first touchdown, I feel like that's going to be their way of scoring. So I feel like an anytime touchdown for Ramondre Stevenson's a good bet right here, or a first score. If Damian Harris is playing, watch out for him being the starter and getting the score. But if it's Ramondre, I like a first touchdown or an anytime touchdown for both of them. If you want to throw 5 or 10 here or there, just on a long shot bet, a third and 25, maybe convert one on a deep pass. That's kind of one I like tomorrow, and I'll tweet out some more over the weekend.
Yeah, Shawn makes it perfect with those. It's third and longs. We can do those in college all day, but NFL, you just can't back those big spreads like that unless sometimes here and there. So he'll tweet some out. We'll come up with some as we go, and we'll add some more to those, and he'll tweet those out. So follow us along at Money Down Pod. It's very valuable. Follow us along at Money Down Pod. You get a bunch of information from us on there. Anything you got to add?
This pod right here will probably be going up after the game that Kayvon's at, or right there during it.
Okay.
So
it's fine.
So if you're hearing us and you saw some streaking going on, you know what was happening. If you saw that camera pan away, you know my guy Kayvon, hey, he's in trouble. But I'm gonna make sure to tweet out his little war paint, his setup, what he wears to the game, and we'll see the before and after of what happens, win or lose. It'll be a good time to watch. So I just gotta say, safe travels and good luck to you. I hope everything goes well, and I'll get all this up. Make sure you like, favorite, everything. If we're up on iTunes at this point, like I said, we're just waiting on them. Give us that 5-star rating. Leave a comment. Leave comments everywhere. We'd love to get back to you. And that's kind of it for me.
Yeah, appreciate it, man. Really, really appreciate it. Wish us luck. Hopefully it's a fun game. Hopefully I'm not going streaking, but I will if I have to. But we'll see what ends up happening here. Again, Shawn will tweet us a bunch of this stuff out. So follow us on Twitter at MoneyDownPod. Give us a like, subscribe, 5-star review. All of that really helps the show, guys. We put a lot of work into it. We appreciate you guys listening. So it just means a lot to really quickly go and like it and give us your comments. Again, Money Down Pod. That is Shawn White. I am Kayvon Izami. Thank you for tuning in. Have a great rest of your week. Have a great weekend, and we'll be back on Monday to break it all down.
We'll see you next week.